The opinions expressed in the following paid program do not necessarily represent those of WJZ AM 1300, CBS Radio, its employees and sponsors.
This is Sasha Swarovski, and you're listening to Terp Talk with Bruce Posner.
This is Coons Ford Terp Talk with Bruce Posner. 60 minutes of Maryland athletics and your phone calls at 410-481-1300. Now, here's Bruce Posner and Terp Talk.
And yes, going a little unnoticed was the tremendous setup pass by the Maryland Terp great Graham Soucy, who fired a rocket across the middle that Mr. Brooks converted for the winning goal and has set this nation into probably 50% soccer crazy with a 2-1 victory over Ghana, its nemesis, the team that knocked them out twice in a row. But let's give the ups for Graham Soucy on a great pass. Here to talk about the game, Graham Soucy. Portugal is our soccer expert, and that, of course, is Palo Alto Paul. Paul, welcome in tonight.
Hey, Bruce. Good to be on with you.
Tell me about Soucy's cross there. How perfect was it?
Oh, man, Bruce. Soucy, known for his passing, known for his long crosses. Jurgen Klinsmann looks like a genius for putting him in the game. Tees up a corner kick there, just serves it right in the middle. John Brooks beats his defender, and that's a 2-1 win. And, still on the high from the end of that game. I mean, man, what an end of the game that was.
Yeah, it was tremendous. And it's almost like the air was out of Ghana after that. They really never even got off a decent shot after that segment, after dominating the entire second half. Paul, We talked about it after the game. A lot of people are saying, Ghana dominated that second half and a lot of the first half after Clint Dempsey, the Deuce, got the big goal to start the game. But that's how soccer goes a lot. It's the team behind that usually puts up the charge. And when they don't, they get killed. Kind of like Germany defeated Portugal. But that's not unusual, is it?
No, and, the thing that we forget is, you got to give a lot of credit to the U.S. defense. I mean, the guys in the middle, Jeff Cameron, Beasler, and then Brooks, once he came in, really held everything together. And, Jurgen Klinsmann's lineup was really set up in that first game to really absorb that. I mean, he ended up playing kind of 3 central midfielders, essentially, giving Michael Bradley a little bit more room to operate, but playing both Jermaine Jones and Kyle Beckerman together is unusual, but a defensive posture. So, I think you got to give the U.S. a lot of credit, and those guys are going to continue to have to step up if we're gonna hang with Portugal, because I'll tell you, Ghana, very good team, played a great game, but Portugal's not going to miss as many shots as Ghana did. You got to remember, Portugal's got Cristiano Ronaldo, arguably the best player in the world right now. Some questions about whether he's injured or not. He's had some knee problems, some ankle problems. Had some ice on it in training the other day, but that's a guy who's got speed that kills.
Question for you: If Josie Altidore does not play, and I think it's all posture, I don't think he's playing. When he left that game, he looked like he was going to have trouble walking. If he doesn't play, does Soucy enter the starting lineup?
I think maybe you see Soucy again, but in the midfield spot, he came in for Alejandro Bedoya about midway through. I think maybe you see either Soucy start or him come in later to give fresh legs and another change of pace. I think up top, and I agree with you, I think it's very unlikely we see Josie, particularly because we're going to be playing in the heat of the rainforest, even worse than the heat of that first game, which, as you could see, took a lot out of the players. But I think if Josie doesn't start, I think we probably see Chris Wondolowski play. I think Coach probably relies on kind of his big frame, him to kind of hold the ball up a little bit more and keep possession, and then his heading ability. The alternative is to play Aaron Johansson, who came in for Josie Altidore in the first game. He's a quicker guy. He's definitely a goal scorer, but he doesn't give you that same physical presence that you get from Wando. So I think that's probably who we're looking at, as if Josie really can't go.
Let's talk a little bit about the defense. Where were the opening spots? Why were there so many on goal shots in that little kind of run from the beginning of the second half until they finally scored? Where was the weakness?
To me, it's hard to say there's a weakness. I mean, you've got Jamarcus Beasley on one of the sides, he's a crafty player. He's a little bit of an older player, and I think Ghana was able to use their speed to exploit him a little bit. But looking at it from the other perspective, I think that Ghana was able to be on the attack so much because the U.S. had a hard time going from defense to offense and really possessing the ball, keeping it for themselves and attacking, which they're really going to need to do more of to balance out the defense. You got to remember, particularly in these conditions, you got to give the defense a chance to catch their breath, regroup, figure out who's going to mark who. And in that first game, the defense just didn't really have that time. So, I think, there's some difficult spots in the defense, nothing they can't hang with, but I think they're going to have to counterattack and hold the ball a little bit better to give the defense the time to cool off.
Again, we're talking with Palo Alto Paul, our soccer expert here on Terp Talk this Wednesday night. Paul, I know you do watch Maryland soccer. You've seen it quite a few times. You covered a couple games for me when they were out the West Coast. Sasho plays that same kind of wide open, let's score and take our chances style that Jurgen Klinsmann does. Jurgen Klinsmann has been, it's funny, if the USA ties the game and 1-1, you would have heard a lot of screaming about where's Landon Donovan. But that's,
and you still are, and you certainly still are, but a lot less.
A lot less, because now, let's face it, 85% of the teams that win that first game go on to get out of the first bracket. And a lot of things, the USA, a win puts them in automatically. Even a tie puts them in pretty good shape because of the goal differential problem with Portugal and Germany. So the USA is sitting pretty now if they could just grab a tie out of the whole thing. You agree?
Yeah, no, definitely. And then the flip side of that is that, Portugal fighting for their lives. Portugal loses this next game, they're done. They don't get to move on to their third game and see what happens. So, they've got to come out playing for it. But yeah, the U.S. controls its own destiny. If they get a tie and they end up with 4 points going into that Germany game, things have to break the right way in order to make sure we move through. You never want to need to win against Germany. So, we want to lock it up. If we can get the tie, we'll feel pretty good about it and hope Germany's already advanced and, maybe play some of its backup players to kind of rest their big guys for the knockout stage. 53%
of the country believes the USA will defeat Portugal. Of course, out of the 53%, 93% have no idea. All right. But I just saw that on ESPN.com this evening. Let me ask you, how does the game go? What does the U.S. have to fear, and what does Portugal have to fear from the U.S.?
Yeah, well, I think the U.S. number one has to fear the speed of Portugal. Again, Cristiano Ronaldo, but some of their defenders, Nani, some of their other forwards. I mean, it's a fast team. They're good passers. So I think sticking with those offensive guys and kind of providing enough support through the midfield, I think is pretty important. And then closing down Cristiano Ronaldo. As in a lot of sports, it's tough when there's one guy, he's the guy, and you don't want to let that one guy beat you, but, Portugal's got plenty of options. The U.S. team, I think one thing we didn't see enough of in the first game was Michael Bradley in that attacking midfield role. I think we need to see him getting the ball, around midfield or a little bit higher up, having a little bit of time to turn with that ball and then pivot. And, he's looking for Clint Dempsey, and he's looking for, likely, as we said, looking for Chris Wondolowski to kind of move the ball up. And Bradley's the guy that makes this run. I said before, we got to go from defense to offense a little bit better. Playing the ball through Michael Bradley and having him hold the ball with presence is what's going to do that. And then again, Deuce, he's shown he's a world-class player. He's fearless. The way he struck that first goal, fifth fastest goal ever in World Cup history. You need him to continue to rise to that top level. So speed on the defense, Michael Bradley, that's what we need to do to make it a good game. All
right, one question, and I promise I'll let you go after 10 minutes. If there's another game that soccer fans, I'm pretty up on the American team, but that's about it. If there's another game in the next few days to watch, what is that game, Paul?
Let's see what we got. Well, we have England playing the next couple of days. They lost their first game to Italy, so they're going to need to make sure that they get a win to move through. Looking through the other groups, I mean, nothing else too crazy. I mean, Brazil will need to make sure that they lock up that third game to move through after tying Mexico. A little bit of a surprise, but a Mexico team that can play pretty well. I think Brazil will kind of keep that in check handily. Argentina, can Argentina play as well as they're supposed to play and really poise themselves to move on? And then today, Spain getting knocked out by Chile was a big match. People have been talking about Chile. Is this a team that can really move on, become a force in the knockout rounds that a lot of people wouldn't expect? And, I think they've shown some real force there, knocking out Spain. So I think we'll see big moves from them moving forward.
You hit the USA game on the nose against Ghana. You call 2-1. What do you call for Sunday at 5:30?
I'm gonna go with a 1-1 draw. I think it's hard to tie up Portugal for too long. It's again, when you face the best player in the world, he's got a name behind him. So I think we play another tough game. I think they leave America kind of screaming on the edge of their seats in a way that a lot of other sports don't quite do to you. And I think it'll be a battle to the end. So I think we get a draw. I think we're poised to move forward either with a tie on Germany or maybe the numbers go in our favor. But it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be hot. And like in the first game, fitness is going to be an issue. Are we going to have guys pull up? Is everybody going to be fit to play? Another thing to watch in the game on Sunday night. All
right, Paul, thanks a lot for checking in, and we'll talk to you after the game.
All right, Bruce, go USA.
All right, USA all the way. And, of course, it's funny about soccer that, when the World Cup comes around, the soccer fury starts, and you wonder – I always wonder that you let championship games that will happen in the next round be decided on the penalty kicks. So something about that doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't seem that a game of this national championship, world championship level gets decided on these penalty kicks. I don't get it sometimes. And the USA, I do believe they're going to get through. I think they might even beat Portugal. From what I read, Portugal is extremely banged up. They're missing several defensemen. USA is at an all-time confidence level, and they're not going to play as poorly as they did the other day, even though they escaped with the win, which says a ton about their resolve to win that game, to stay in it. And I do believe that we're going to see a more possession-type team. And I think Michael Bradley could not play, from what I've seen him play. He can't play as bad as he did on Sunday. It's just not going to happen. Monday, rather. So here it goes, USA, and what makes me so happy is that Graham Soucy is an integral part of this team. He was such an integral part at Maryland. It certainly wasn't a surprise to me, and I'm sure it wasn't a surprise to Sasho that when the game was on the line, it was Soucy there with the big play. And, when you're watching that game on Sunday and you see Soucy come in, he looked like $1 million. I mean, he really looked like he was ready to go and everybody else was worn down. And what about the two substitutions by the head coach, Jurgen Klinsmann, to bring in Brooks and bring in Soucy, and who hooks up for the winning goal but those two gentlemen? And the way the game started was incredible with the 30-second goal into the game by Clint Dempsey, the Deuce. And it did create a game that was a little bit unusual in that you just had a kind of feeling that Ghana would eventually build itself up and take it over. Very strange game, and it just went on, and substitution after substitution. But remember, 85% of the teams that win game one advance to the next round. So with that, we'll move away from soccer and just fascinating situation. Before we head to the break, it's not a surprise to anybody, but Alyssa Thomas has been inserted into the starting lineup for the Connecticut Suns. First game, 10 points, 7 rebounds, and the Sun wins easily their 5th straight win. Nobody surprised by the performance of the great Alyssa Thomas, who was the ACC Player of the Year, believe it or not, 3 years in a row. All right, coming up tonight, we got a ton on recruiting. 3 big names are coming to Maryland football as Randy Edsall readies for the start of Big Ten sports, as we all are. And we'll go over the big events that begin on the 30th, Monday week, at the Under Armour store downtown, where Kevin Anderson and Commissioner Jim Delaney will speak to the crowd. And, we had Coach Edsall take a few shots at James Franklin from Penn State the other day when he was in Pennsylvania for a Yorktown for a golf outing, a charity golf outing. And Randy Edsall, listen, I've said it when everybody says to me, Maryland's in trouble in the Big Ten and this and that. That's so far from the truth. It is so far from the truth, and we see a lot of experts picking Maryland to go 8-4, maybe 7-5 or 9-3. Look out for this team that is loaded with athletes. Stephon Diggs, Deion Long made the all preseason Big Ten. This team is ready to go. C.J. Brown stays healthy. Look out. We'll talk about that when we come back. Before we head out to that first break, the Bayhawks return home not till July 17th. Now, this weekend, after a big win against Boston, Rabel and the Boston Cannons, they travel out to Denver to face Jesse Schwartzman and the Denver Outlaws. And, of course, Drew Snyder, Jeremy Sieverts, big players on that team. And somewhere along this next week, the USA World Cup or World Championship team will be chosen. Waiting to see how many Terps are on there. Dan Burns from the Bayhawks is trying out. But they return home Thursday, June 17th, unusual Thursday-type game against the Rochester Rattlers, which means what? The Twerton Award winner, Miles Thompson. Miles Thompson comes into Navy Marine Corps Stadium. He's worth the price of admission alone. That's Thursday, July 17th at 7 p.m. at the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. And with that, we'll head out to our first break. This is Bruce Posner. You're listening to Coons Ford Terp Talk. We'll be back in a few minutes here on CBS Sports Radio 1300.
Late tie-ups for the crash on the Harrisburg Expressway. Good evening. This traffic report is brought to you by your Baltimore area Toyota dealers. Visit buytoyota.com. Sweltering afternoon. Plenty of traffic to come with it. Southbound on the Harrisburg, you're waiting from Warren to get all the way down to the crash that was at Timonium. 1 point, it occupied the left lane. Beltway recovering and doing so actually pretty quickly in a loop for a short wait 95 to Wilkins. Patent improvement from the delays that at 1 point took you out towards Liberty, and this really should break up for you pretty quickly. Now up top, bumper to bumper off and on through the 83s out towards Perry Parkway. Some issues in Columbia. Broken land at Hickory Ridge. There's a crash there. Harper's Farm closes for the collision at Little Patuxent. Toyota dependability has a whole new personality with some bold new designs and stunning interiors. Smart and reliable is now a lot more fun to drive. Visit buyatoyota.com to check out great deals. That's buyatoyota.com. Toyota. I'm Liz Dravic with traffic. CBS Sports Radio 1300.
1300 with Baltimore's homegrown radio every weeknight. Monday night from 6 to 8. It's the Coach's Buzz with Coach Buzz Battaglia talking local sports. Tuesday night at 6. It's the AHA Business Radio Show with Alan Hirsch. Wednesday night at 6. It's Terp Talk with Bruce Posner. Thursday night at 6. It's the Booker Corrigan Sports Show. And Friday nights at 6. Hang out on the corner with Gil Cuda Jr. Baltimore's homegrown radio every weeknight on CBS Sports Radio 1300.
Kelly Exchange is your one-stop shop for individual and family health insurance coverage. On kellyexchange.com, you can learn about healthcare reform, find out if you qualify for a subsidy, get quotes, compare insurance plans, and purchase coverage. With over 36 years of experience in the insurance industry, kellyexchange.com is the only website you need to help you navigate the complexities and confusion of healthcare reform and purchase quality insurance for you and your family. Visit kellyexchange.com today.
My name is Mark Apple, and I'm a consumer bankruptcy attorney with Waldman, Grossfeld, Apple & Bear. If you're afraid of losing your home, you're afraid of wages being garnished, Call me, 410-437-7711, extension 4, and you'll get to my desk. We have offices located all around the Baltimore Beltway. Call me, Mark Apple, 410-437-7711, extension 4.
No one likes lawyers until they need one. But if you've dealt with an insurance company, you know that you're not in good hands, they're not good neighbors, and they're not on your side. I'm Mike Grossfeld. At Waldman Grossfeld Apple & Bear, we've been protecting the rights of people for over 40 years. If you've been seriously injured in an accident, hurt on the job, or have suffered at the hands of a negligent doctor, call me, Mike Grossfeld, at 888-8-LEGAL-6. That's 888-8-LEGAL-6. We'll fight for you.
Isn't it time for your family to have the services of a financial planner? Call Rob Weissman, a chartered financial consultant. Rob has provided financial planning, investments, and insurance products to the Baltimore community for over 25 years. Rob will provide a free consultation, review your financial positions, and make recommendations. He will monitor your financial plan on an ongoing basis. Call Rob Weissman, 410-653-6260. Rob Weissman is a registered representative of Salmon Security Company, member FINRA SIPC. Baltimore, listen up. If you want crabs, you have to head to the Costas Inn on North Point Boulevard. There is no comparison in all of Maryland for the greatest crabs and crab cakes ever. Costas also serves unbelievable steamed shrimp, Greek salads, and steaks for lunch and dinner. Nick, Pete, and Costas Triantopoulos run the perfect restaurant to go with family and friends. Give Costas Inn a call at 410-477-1975 and tell them that TerpTalk guy sent you. Trust, honesty, integrity. That's the motto of Offit & Roth, PA, certified public accountants and business consultants. Clients of Offit & Roth get personalized quality service that is beyond comparison. Check out their extensive list of services at www.offitroth.com. Co-founder Alan Roth and his son Michael, a Maryland graduate, have extensive experience working with clients in virtually every industry. Call Offit & Roth at 410-356-6600. There's no better place in Baltimore to buy your new or used car from than Coons Ford on Security Boulevard, across from Security Mall. Over the years, I have purchased many cars and trucks for GM Dennis Colatzos, receiving the best price, service, and comfort in dealing with a top-notch executive. Coons Ford Terp Talk listeners can view their inventory at CoonsFordBaltimore.com. Coons Ford carries a huge inventory of Motor Trend's Car of the Year, the Fusion, Hybrid Escapes, the 35-mile-per-gallon Focus, Mustangs, Expeditions, and of course the F-Series trucks. Coons Ford simply likes to make a little bit of money many times. What a great place to buy your new Ford. That's Coons Ford of Baltimore, 6970 Security Boulevard, across from Security Square Mall. Take exit 17 off of 695. Remember, when you're talking cars, you're talking Coons.
Call 410-298-3800.
Your first choice for filling prescriptions in the Baltimore area should be the James Pharmacy, a Health Mart pharmacy. As a Health Mart pharmacy, the James Pharmacy has a personal commitment to its communities, is locally owned, and the pharmacists know there is nothing more important than your family's well-being. Located for the last century at 1117 Light Street in Federal Hill, the James Pharmacy is owned and operated by Avi Pelta, a University of Maryland pharmacy school graduate. Though located in Federal Hill, the James Pharmacy delivers at no charge to the entire Baltimore metro area. Outside of Baltimore, no problem. The James Pharmacy will UPS your prescriptions on a moment's notice. Open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 to 3. Call the James Pharmacy, a Health Mart pharmacy, at 410-752-5810. Remember, Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
This is CJ Brown. You're listening to Terp Talk with Bruce Posner.
Welcome back to Coons Ford Terp Talk. Call 410-481-1300 now. Once again, here's Bruce Posner.
You know, it's funny because we hear CJ Brown, certainly an integral part of the future this season of Maryland in his final year. I have talked extensively about 5 Terps for preseason all-big team from Athlon Sports. Now, they picked Stephon Diggs, wide receiver, and, of course, defensive back William Likely to the first team of the Big Ten. And I've said this time and time again, that the athletes are in College Park. One thing that Maryland has is the athletes. When you look at Deion Long and Stephon Diggs and Marcus Lee, and Wes Brown, and you go on and on and on, and certainly William Likely. The athletes are in College Park. And when you see them being picked for the preseason All Big Ten team, then you know what I'm saying is the case. Does Dennis Kalatzis agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Stephon Diggs and William Likely picked in the first team All Big Ten. Maryland's got the athletes. Maybe Ohio State might be their equal or superior when it comes to the true athletes, the true runners, sprinters. But Maryland, over any other team, has the guys.
No question about it, Bruce.
Yeah, it's you look at linebacker Cole Ferrand and defensive lineman Andre Monroe and the place kicker Brad Craddock, who's certainly his mentor is Stover and Matt Stover. And, you know, Maryland enters this season with enough talent to win. And I guess the rest is in Mr. Etzel's hands, correct?
Well, that and also the fellas in the trenches, your offensive line and defensive line. That's what we'll see what Maryland's made of, what metal this team is made of. The skilled players are there for sure, but it's the big uglies on the offensive line and defensive line that would determine their success or failure this year, for sure.
Well, Randy drew in this Greg Studrawa. They call him the stud, I think from Jacksonville.
Right.
And this guy's supposed to be the real deal when it comes to coaching offensive linemen. He's a tough guy, but he's been very, very popular among recruits, and we'll see how it goes. It's I can't wait for it, Dennis. I really can. I know now that Christos is out there, I'm going to drag you out there a few times.
I'll have to come out, but if you look in the past 2, 3, 4 decades, Michigan offensive linemen, Ohio State offensive linemen have done very well in the NFL. But that's where the game is won at any level. Yeah,
no doubt, and I guess we'll see how it goes. Dennis, quick report on the Ravens. 8.5 is the over/under in Vegas for wins. Where do you stand on that ledger?
Yeah, they're probably right. I mean, I think the Bengals and the Steelers are at 9 games. It just shows you how competitive the division is. Anything can happen. Positive reports from training camp right now. It seems like all the guys are getting along. They're feisty. They've gotten younger. They've gotten stronger. They've gotten faster. I think Coach Harbaugh gives them an edge. I think he's a heck of a coach. And I don't necessarily agree with Vegas, but based on last year's performance, 8.5, 9, 10 games, that's the range. No team in that division is going to win 11 or 12 because, you figure we'll split the home and away games with the Bengals and the Steelers and maybe even the Browns. Everybody's making a big deal of Johnny Manziel, but the Browns' defense is vastly improved. So I would have to agree with the Vegas odds at this point.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And, I guess we'll see how it goes. But the receivers, Steve Smith, the impact of him on the other receivers, I think is going to be untold. If he is still in his form, if he's still that possession kind of guy, finally the heat might come off at Torrey. They won't be able to double team everybody.
Well, not only that, you also have the Gary Kubiak influence. I think you have a bona fide offensive coordinator, one of the best minds in the game. I think he'll be able to create sets where these guys will be able to get separation. He'll run, rubs and floods and takes and all kind of different things to get these guys open. But I think to your point, Steve Smith, he's got a chip on his shoulder. The old guy's got a point to prove. He still wants to win a ring. I think he'll set the pace and the tone for the Ravens to be that third down go-to guy that we missed since we parted company with Antoine Bolden.
Certainly. Dennis, what's going over at Coons? I see you're loaded with cars these days and trucks.
Yeah, business couldn't be better, Bruce. It's it's just phenomenal. The deals are great for sure. The Ford Motor Credit's helping us out with 0% for 60 still out there. Lots of money on the hood on new vehicles. The pre-owned vehicles are flying off the shelf. Because we do retail about 200 new vehicles a month. We do get a lot of real nice late model, low mileage, gently used trades, and they fly off the shelf as well. So business couldn't be better. Service is doing well. Parts, body shop, the whole place is on fire right now.
Yeah, and Escape's still kicking butt?
Yeah, we're having a hard time keeping them in stock. These Escapes are still, you have one, they're very fuel efficient. It's all the vehicle for a really good price, a really great value.
And certainly, I think it's vastly superior to the Honda and to the Chevrolet and the competition. It's just, someone who owns it, it's just, I hate to keep saying that because you always fear something's going to go wrong. But I tell you what else has been greatly improved, Dennis, and that is the sync. There was problems with the sync when it first came out, but no more. It is unbelievable how well the sync works now. And if you don't know what sync is, it's that integration between your telephone and the automobile. And safety-wise and every other reason that makes it important, it's now almost flawless. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, we are. We know Alan Mullally, the CFO of Ford Motor Company, took a shot that partnered up with Microsoft. He's going to be cutting edge. There were initially some glitches during the initial launch, but you know what? They keep upgrading the system. Now it's almost flawless, as you said. And the safety benefits of it are just incredible. Hands-free, it's very pleasurable to drive and be able to talk to anyone while being able to keep your eyes on the road.
Yeah, you walk into the car and it's working and it never fails. And that just wasn't the case from the get-go because it's almost amazing how it works. But now it's just a tremendous asset. I love my Escape, and I certainly love Coons Ford.
Oh, we appreciate it, Bruce. I'm always perpetually lost, so I love you, the navigation feature. I just tell it where it goes. It draws me a map, tells me turn here, turn there, and all of a sudden, bang, here I am.
All right, Dennis, listen, always a pleasure. And again, read Dennis in the SundaySportsVoice.com. Tremendous Raven stuff, and Dennis is on top of the Ravens for sure.
Thanks a lot, Bruce. Go Terps and go Ravens.
All righty. Let's take a look at who is committed to Maryland in the past week since we were on last Wednesday. Number one, 6'5", 275-pound offensive lineman Mason Zimmerman commits to Maryland. Their third offensive lineman, he's from White House in Ohio, and Anthony Wayne High School. After visiting College Park for the first time last weekend, he made it clear that the Terps were in favorable position moving forward. But even Zimmerman himself didn't expect to be making a commitment. He took visits to Illinois and Northwestern, and both of those visits went well. I enjoyed both of those schools, but afterwards when I was sitting in the car, I just knew that Maryland was definitely the choice I wanted to make. This guy, Stud, has been a tremendous influence. Now Maryland has extended its borders of recruiting to the Midwest because of the Big Ten. And if you think that's, unusual, wait till they start popping on TV on July 1st when the Big Ten Network does an exclusive a day rather, on the University of Maryland. All I can say is the Big Ten Network will influence this area as people begin to watch Maryland. Remember, the ACC absurdity games like Boston College against Wake Forest will no longer be viewed. We'll be watching Maryland and Penn State, Maryland and Ohio State. We'll be watching Michigan State versus Ohio State. We're going to be watching all the key Big Ten games, and you're going to see kids from the Midwest gravitate toward Maryland. Almost like we've seen Robert Carter Jr. want to transfer to Maryland from Georgia Tech. Why? Because he knows that Maryland's in that hotbed. Article in Sports Illustrated, from what I understand, I haven't seen it yet, that talks about how badly the Big Ten needed Maryland and Rutgers to kind of right the financial ship because of the TV markets, I assume. But a big article in Sports Illustrated, I can't wait to read it, about the addition of Maryland and Rutgers. The events start on Monday. We'll talk about that when we come back from the break, as well as some of the other recruits that are coming to Maryland. All right, before we go, sports possibilities for athletes.com. The 3-on-3 basketball tournament run by Pikesville great Laurie Parson. The boys take place Saturday, August the 9th. The girls Sunday, August the 10th at Carroll Park, 1500 Washington Boulevard, 21230. Pre-registration and education session on Saturday, August the 2nd. Registration is $160 per team. It's boys and girls 8 to 18. Registration must be completed by July 18th, and all participants must have a current AAU membership. I'm sure there'll be all kinds of high school coaches and probably a few scattered college coaches there. This could be a tremendous success for Laurie Parson. Should be a lot of fun, too. You have some of the best young kids in the city playing in this tournament. This is Bruce Posner. You're listening to Coons Ford Terp Talk. We'll be back in just a few minutes here on CBS Sports Radio 1300. I just discovered a great little neighborhood gourmet pizza and Italian-type restaurant in the Harbor area. Bagby Pizza on 1006 Fleet Street is just a great, fun place to have lunch or dinner 7 days a week. Bagby's features gourmet pizza, pastas, and salads at more than reasonable prices. Service is quick. There's plenty of seating. Happy hour specials Monday through Friday, 4 to 7 p.m. But most important, the food is superb. Bagby Pizza, 410-605-0444. Billy Shriver and Terry Aronson's Tark's Grill in Green Springs Station has taken the town by storm. Everyone says the food is superb. Great salads, burgers, and steaks, and the seafood dishes are beyond expectation. At Tark's, the menu includes everything from light fare on up. Once you go, you will fall in love with the food and fun atmosphere and the reasonable pricing of this upscale restaurant. Call 410-583-TARK for reservations. Neurosurgery and Spine Center, whose goal is to provide the highest quality of care to our patients. We strive to apply leading-edge treatment strategies, including complex spine or brain surgery, interventional pain management, and physical therapy. The group is led by Dr. Ira Garanzik, who is joined by Dr. James Conway, Dr. H. Christopher Lawson, Dr. James Frazier in the field of neurological and spine surgery. Dr. Seth Kaufman specializes in interventional pain management. Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center is located at 5051 Greenspring Avenue. Call them for an appointment at 410-664-3680. That's 410-664-3680. When it's time to sell your house in the Baltimore area, there is no one better in the entire region than Harriet Wasserman and her entire marketing group. Harriet and her Prudential team are synonymous with sales success. The Wasserman team understands every facet of selling your house in this market. Call 410-458-5300 or check out their website at www.wassermanteam.com. Call Harriet Wasserman 410-458-5300.
If things in your life are looking blurry, there's only one place to go to see straight again, and that's Levin Eye Care. Dr. Howard Levin and Dr. Richard Levin, both University of Maryland alums, have 35 years of combined experience in serving the eye care needs of their patients. With 2 great offices in Perry Hall and Parkville, these doctors can address any concerns about your vision. Call 410-529-1950 to set up an appointment. Levin Eye Care accepts most medical insurance, including Medicare.
There's no better place in Baltimore to buy your new or used car than Coons Ford on Security Boulevard, across from Security Mall. Let's talk Coons pre-owned certified used cars. All of our listeners can buy with confidence. Coons Ford of Baltimore has an exclusive 7-day exchange policy. If for any reason whatsoever customers want to exchange a vehicle within 7 days, no problem. Coons Ford simply likes to make a little bit of money many times. That is why they take a lot of time to make sure we have the lowest priced pre-owned vehicles on the web. When our listeners go to our website, CoonsBaltimoreFord.com, they will see all of the outstanding values we have to offer. That's Coons Ford of Baltimore, 6970 Security Boulevard, across from Security Square Mall. Remember, when you're talking cars, you're talking Coons.
Call 410-298-3800.
Dr. Gaber and Associates is more than an internal medicine practice. Both offices are completely equipped with physical therapy services run by an experienced staff of registered physical therapists, Elliot Weiner, Mark Smearman, and Ken Miller. They treat arthritis, sports, auto or work injuries, post-op conditions, and more. After an initial evaluation evaluation, a treatment program is individualized and can include modalities such as neuromuscular reeducation, ultrasound, muscle stimulation, traction, work conditioning, and balance training. Don't forget it's flu season, and flu shots are now recommended for all age groups, including healthy, low-risk persons. And there's more. Dr. Gaber's practice does not have the dreaded voicemail. You will always talk to a friendly staff member. So if you are in need of a private physician, call 410-986-4400 for Dr. Gaber's office at 341 Calvert Street and 410-653-8840 for the office at 1838 Green Tree Road in Pikesville. Easy parking at both locations. The therapy office is open Saturdays 9 to 1, and Dr. Gaber accepts nearly all insurances.
Join 105.7 The Fan Friday from 5 to 10 p.m. at Du Burns Arena for The Gathering, sponsored by Bud Light, the official domestic beer of The Gatherings.
This is Alyssa Thomas, and you are listening to Terp Talk with Bruce Posner.
This is Coons Ford Terp Talk. Call 410-481-1300 now. Once again, here's Bruce Posner.
Wow, Alyssa Thomas, as we told you beforehand, tremendous efforts in the WNBA. What a great kid, what a great player, and she'll be a superstar, hopefully on the Olympic team one day. Listen, Robbie Weissman, financial planner, sponsor of the show for years, good friend, my financial planner, does a miraculous job. Just texted me to tell me that Brent Hyken, all right, we know him from Stevenson and Pikesville High School, who was drafted by the Denver Outlaws as a FOGO, face-off, get-off, played in his first game last Saturday night, and lo and behold, 5 face-offs, 3 wins. This kid is something special, and when you work with Paul Cantabene, the coach over at Stevenson for, I think, even 2 years before he went there, Brent Hyken fits in the MLL, and to think that he's playing with the best guys in the world, and so far in his first game held his own, really something special. So hats off to him. And of course, my buddy Mike Chanichuk, 2 goals, 2 assists in his second game with Charlotte, as Charlotte defeated the Florida Launch 14-13, also in the MLL. Tremendous get for Maryland last Friday, I believe. And that, of course, is 4-star. That's 4-star, everybody. Cornerback Kareem Ali. Its biggest commitment yet in the class of 2015 when Kareem Ali Jr. committed to Randy Edsall. The 4-star prospect from Timber Creek High School in Sicklerville, New Jersey, made it no secret that the Terps were one of his top programs for months now. Late pushes from Pitt and Louisville made this a tough decision, but his dad said, and listen to this, I love it, we did a check and balance approach to everything, from academics to the coaches to their ties in the NFL and all that. We weighed everything out, and Maryland just had what we were looking for. When we did that, it was pretty clear to me that the right fit for Kareem was the University of Maryland. And then on top of that, outside linebacker, MB Tanyel, okay, committed to Maryland from Texas. Randy stretching the borders from Texas. This young man committed to the University of Maryland. He's 6'3", 260 pounds, and researched the program, fell in love with Maryland, committed to Maryland on June 12th over offers from Houston, Colorado, UTEP, and LA, Louisiana Tech, becoming the 8th class of 2015 commitment. Hats off to that young man, as Randy's starting to round in the class. Apparently the number is 20 from what I hear. So 9 down and 11 to go. McDonough defensive back and future Maryland Terrapin Josh Woods took home the honor of MVP for the Maryland squad tonight at the Big 33. That, of course, is a game between Maryland and Pennsylvania. Listen to this. He recorded 3 interceptions along with 3 open field tackles, and his first interception was what? A pick 6 for a touchdown. Randy's getting the job done as things progress. 7 Terps named to the final 38 of the Team USA Women's Lacrosse. No surprise. Taylor Cummings, Megan Dowdy, Kelly McPartland, and Alice Mercer all made the first cut. And also standout former Terps, Alex Alls, Caitlin McFadden, and two-time Tewaaraton Award winner, I should say Caitlin also won the Tewaaraton Award, but two-time Tewaaraton Award winner, Katie Schwartzman, were also selected for the 2017 tryouts. Ultimately, 18 players will represent the United States as the team goes for its third consecutive and 8th overall world title. Quite a day for the University of Maryland in that regard. Let's take a look at some of the hoop prospects for 2016. Of course, we know that Michael Sikorsky arrives in College Park this week. And let's look at who else is available in 2016. Kevin Dorsey from Paul VI School in Fairfax. He is expected soon to visit Maryland. We'll see when it happens. Brian Crawford from Gonzaga got his Louisville offer. Still talking about taking visits to a number of schools, including Maryland, and also looking at Villanova and also Louisville. Josh Reeves reportedly took an unofficial to Georgetown. Maryland is still on Reeves, but have to wait to see what Terry Henderson decides first. And of course, we all know about Robert Carter Jr. Kind of turns out to be almost like a straight player trade in that Charles Mitchell goes to Georgia Tech. Robert Carter Jr. comes to Maryland. Both have to sit out a year. And I don't have, for any of you fans of the ACC, we don't have to talk about who got the best of that potential, you could call a trade almost. Robert Carter Jr. is absolutely fantastic, and no knock against Charles Mitchell, but you could not use that superlative to describe him. Terry Henderson, the transfer from West Virginia, will visit NC State on Friday, and it's now down to between NC State and Richmond and Maryland. Should have an answer by early next week. Let's hope he doesn't commit to NC State, and that will work out good. The big guy, Georgios Papagiannis from Westtown, Pennsylvania, is certainly a guy that the Terps are actively seeking. He'll be in the NBA Top 100 camp later in this week. And also looked at, let's go over some names real quick. Locals too. Anthony Cowan, 5'10" point guard from St. John's, Washington. He's a priority recruit for Maryland. Curtis Jones, a 6'2" scoring guard from Paul VI. Rumored to be transferring, but he's a two-guard that swings to the point on occasion. Corey Manigault, 6'8", power forward, also from Paul VI. Like to see that school. The Paul power forward has a solid season. Great hands and feet, developing skill set. A.J. Wilson, 6'6", small forward from Duval in Atlanta, Maryland. He stays on the radar to his exceptional athleticism. And all along, listen, Turgeon hasn't stopped recruiting. I know people were upset about the losses in the class, but Mark Turgeon has not stopped recruiting. Hats off to him, and we'll see how it goes. But don't sell Maryland basketball short. Talked to a lot of guys this week who believe that the pluses and minuses are greatly weighed in Maryland's favor. Look, it's just a state of the landscape now. A kid goes to school, he's not happy with his playing time, his position, he leaves. He doesn't have the patience anymore. They change high schools. They change AAU teams. And now guess what? They're changing colleges. It was over 500 transfers, many of whom are still out there. Nick Faust, the Baltimore certainly player of the year a few years back, has announced he'll be going to Long Beach State, or it's a rumor that he's going to Long Beach State. Don't get it. Got to sit out a year. Just like I don't get it with Seth Allen, who's got to sit out a year, then play for Virginia Tech. But that's the way it is today. So, I wish Nick the best. Baltimore kid, played at City College. I hope everything works out for him. He's a good kid. Celebration of Big Ten events scheduled for June 30th and July 1st. The Big Ten Maryland celebration starts at the Under Armour Brand House over at South President Street, 11:45 a.m. on Monday. Maryland staff and coaches will arrive at Under Armour Brand House at noon. You'll have a brief program featuring Big Ten Commissioner Jim Delaney and University of Maryland Director of Athletics Kevin Anderson. From there, it moves on to the fairgrounds at National Park, 4 p.m. on Monday, which will be like a big open block party at 1500 South Capitol Street, and then the University of Maryland and the Big Ten will be honored at the Nationals game that evening. Then we cross over to Monday, and there'll be from noon to 1:30 a campus Big Ten celebration. And on Monday, July the 1st, remember, the Big Ten Network will feature the University of Maryland the entire day. That's the entire day. Something to talk about. And something else to talk about, of course, is the baseball team. I had a little discussion last week and also on Saturday. The University of Maryland baseball team goes from being the northernmost team in a Southern Conference, the northernmost team in the ACC, to the southernmost team in a Northern Conference. I just have a gut feeling that Maryland baseball may dominate the Big Ten. And it bodes well with the kind of manager that we have in the chef. That's John Sheff, who has done such a miraculous job at the University of Maryland. Even though Cinderella struck, midnight came for Cinderella against the UVA, who seems like they could be progressing to the championship. Hats off to the University of Maryland for just a tremendous, tremendous run. And, of course, last Friday it was announced the 2015 Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Tournament will be held at College Park. Quite an honor from the Big Ten. I assure you all the games will be on the Big Ten Network. And, of course, the following year in 2016, that's right, it will be at Johns Hopkins. So that gives, Maryland fans two shots to see the Big Ten tournament, and we'll wait and see what happens with the ACC as the expected boycott of the University of Maryland will occur. But when you take a look at Maryland playing Rutgers and Ohio State, Penn State, Johns Hopkins, its chief rival, and Michigan in the Big Ten, and hopefully we can toss in Loyola and Towson State and UMBC, and Villanova stays on the schedule, maybe Harvard, maybe Yale, maybe Dartmouth. Maryland will have no trouble in coming up with a grade A schedule, one of the top 10 in the nation like they always have. Just be a little bit different. And when you toss in the fact that you might be playing Hopkins 2 times, maybe even 3 times, if you take a look at the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament, Maryland's schedule will certainly be second to none, and it's the ACC's loss in not bringing their teams up into the hotbed of recruiting. Take a minute here just to talk about in my opinion, one of the great team efforts I've ever seen in basketball, and that was the San Antonio Spurs. They just thrashed the Miami Heat, made them look old. The way they moved the ball was something special. Kawhi Leonard was utterly incredible. And what else can we say about the greatest coach in basketball today? And that, of course, is Greg Popovich. What he did and the way he had that team playing as a team was something to behold. Even though the games were not close, the last 3 wins were by more than 15 points. To me, it was something to really watch how a team basketball is supposed to be played. I loved it. I thought it was superb basketball, and hats off to the San Antonio Spurs in their victory over the Miami Heat. Interesting to see where LeBron could wind up. Hey, Vernon Davis skipped, the great Maryland tight end, the 49ers mandatory OTA, and Mr. Harbaugh was not too happy. I'm disappointed in that decision for Vernon Davis not to be here. It's not the decision I envisioned being the 49er way, said Coach Harbaugh. This is what Vernon said. 4 years later, I originally signed for $23 million in 2010. I'm playing a higher level than I was then, which brings me to why I'm holding out. It's all about getting paid what you deserve. It's not that complicated. I want the 49ers to win Super Bowls. I want to be on the field, but he has to worry about his future. That's the great Maryland tight end, Vernon Davis. That's going to wrap us up for tonight. Go Graham Soucy. Go Team USA. Can't wait for Sunday night at 5:30. It's Bruce Posner signing off. We'll see you Saturday morning on the Sports Maven, brought to you by Coons Ford.
There are 3 new reasons to become a member of the Maryland Zoo with 12 tiny paws. Spend a whole year getting close to the new lion cubs, new giraffes, and a herd of other new additions, including a brand new penguin exhibit opening this fall. Enjoy 12 months of unlimited zoo visits and a gaggle of discounts, like 25% off all guest passes. Have a wild year for less than the cost of 2 visits. Become a member today at marylandzoo.org/join. See lion cubs and so much more this spring as a member of the Maryland Zoo.
Kelly Exchange is your one-stop shop for individual and family health insurance coverage. On kellyexchange.com, you can learn about healthcare reform, find out if you qualify for a subsidy, get quotes, compare insurance plans, and purchase coverage. With over 36 years of experience in the insurance industry, kellyexchange.com is the only website you need to help you navigate the complexities and confusion of healthcare reform and purchase quality insurance for you and your family. Visit kellyexchange.com today. Cunningham's, part of the Bagby chain, the newest restaurant in town at One Olympic Place in Towson. Free valet parking, open every night. The food there is fantastic. I've been there. Decor, the whole atmosphere at Cunningham's is super. I highly, highly recommend it. But of course, when it's part of the Bagby chain and the Smith family, you know it's going to be a success. 410-339-7730. That's Cunningham's at One Olympic Place in Towson. The Comans Brothers in Superior Tours. $32 to either the Trop or Caesar's Palace, and you get $30 back. It only costs you a deuce to go to AC. $63 round trip to New York City for a one-day trip. You got to go and come back the same day, but it only costs $63. You can't beat that. 410-602-1704. That's Superior Tours and the Comans Brothers. 410-602-1704. Mark Abman and Abman's Delicatessen have been serving Baltimore for over 81 years. It's just a fact that Abman's, open 7 days a week at 1019 East Lombard Street, has the best corned beef and deli in town. But now they've expanded into the catering side. Have a Lombard Street party or use Abman's for your condolence trays. Check it out on abmansdeli.com or call 410-563-2666 and ask for Elaine. I love Abman's Deli. The Bagby Restaurant Group presents 1010. That's 1010 Restaurant on 1010 Fleet Street. 410-244-6867. This is Southern style cooking. It's a great atmosphere, a great bar, great Sunday brunches, and I want to tell you, the food is off the charts. Blake Smith and his family really know how to present food in a restaurant. It is super, just like Bagby's Pizza is. That's 1010 Restaurant on 1010 Fleet Street. 410-244-6867.
Access Title Company, LLC, brings to you experience, relationship, and peace of mind. All great reasons to choose Access Title Company as your residential and commercial real estate settlement company. Choosing a reputable, experienced title company is crucial to a smooth settlement process. Our staff of attorneys and experienced personnel is committed to helping you through the complete process with personal attention, competitive rates, and prompt service. Access Title Company goes anywhere in the state of Maryland to perform your settlement at no additional cost to you. That's why we're Access Title. Please call Melanie, our operations manager, at 410-363-8785 for additional information. That's Access Title Company at 410-363-8785.
It's my pleasure to welcome the Supreme Neighborhood Market, Gourmet Again, to the TerpTalk family. Now under the new ownership of Andy Huffman, Gourmet Again on 3717 Old Court Road continues its tradition of being a specialty food market with all meals, soups, and sandwiches being homemade. My family and all of Northwest Baltimore knows that Gourmet Again is the best market around. Let Gourmet Again cater any party or special occasion that you are having. I absolutely love Gourmet Again. Call 410-484-9393. Gourmet Again is open 7 days a week. Visit them on the web at gourmetagain.com. The phone number, once again, 410-484-9393. That's Gourmet Again.
The opinions expressed in the preceding paid program do not necessarily represent those of WJZ AM 1300, CBS Radio, its employees and sponsors. CBS Sports Radio 1300 is WJZ AM Baltimore, WJZ FM HD3 Catonsville, Baltimore. Live sports talk 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your home for the new CBS Sports Radio.